What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 5th Doctor Peter Davison story, Time Flight. This is an episode that I'm going to be honest, not been particularly looking forward to. It's one that I have heard pretty poor things about, and I didn't really know a whole lot about it going into it, but I just know that it is regarded as one of the worst classic stories. So yeah, I can't say I was going into this one particularly excited, but still intrigued about what it was going to be like. But anyway, let's look at the back of the DVD. This is Time Flight by Peter Crimwade. TARDIS arrives by accident in the middle of Terminal 1 at Heathrow Airport. One of the supersonic Concords has disappeared mid-air, and the Doctor, Tegan and Nyssa soon become involved in a hunt for the missing airplane. But what connects its disappearance to prehistoric Earth, and why is a mysterious sorcerer so interested in the Doctor's TARDIS? A flight through time will reveal it all. So that's the back of the DVD, not a massive amount of information, but yeah, the TARDIS lands at Heathrow Airport. A Concorde plane has gone missing. There's something to do with prehistoric Earth. What is going on here? Bit of a mystery, bit of a weird one. Let's get straight into it with the cast. Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor. He is pretty good in this one. I can't really think of any massive, great moments for him in this episode, but yeah, he's fine. He gets to act, spoilers, alongside Anthony Ainley as the Master once again here for, I believe, the first time since Castrovalva for Peter Davison. And yeah, he's fine. There's not really much else to say, to be honest. Janet Fielding as Tegan Javanka. Also, she's fine. Yeah, I can't say that with any part of the story that there's anything amazing going on with really any of the characters, to be honest. The companions, on the most part, they're just there with the Doctor and, just hanging around, really. There's not a massive amount to do. The same goes for Sarah Sutton as Nyssa. She's also fine in this episode. Of course, we've got one less companion because this is the story after Earthshock, where Adric left the show and, well, died. And we'll get onto that in a moment. But yeah, one less companion. But yeah, to be honest, there's not, from what I remember, I will be honest, it is a week or so since I've watched this episode to when I'm now reviewing this, because I've been quite busy doing other stuff. But yeah, from what I remember, not a massive amount for any of the companions to really do. Right, so let's get on to some points about this episode. Acknowledgement of Adric's death, but they move on very quickly. So the episode starts with, going straight off from Earthshock, where Adric has just died. They briefly mention it, they're quite sad, but then the Doctor's like, well, anyway, we've got to, continue on, keep, doing what we do, and we'll remember him and blah, blah, blah. And they kind of just forget about it. And the Doctor, just the way the Doctor talks about it, seems very undoctory, he's a bit sad at first, but then he's like, well, we've just got to, carry on. That's what he would have wanted. It just doesn't really, I don't know, the mourning doesn't really work. I mean, I know Adric, I don't think was ever the Doctor's favourite companion, but I don't know, it's just, for me, it moves on a bit too quickly. I mean, I didn't want the whole episode, everybody being ridiculously sad and just moping around, but at the same time, I don't know, I thought it was a little bit too quick. Concorde Flight 192 has gone missing. So the main thing about this episode is that a Concorde flight has gone missing. They went up in the air, they were talking to the control tower, and then all of a sudden they just went quiet. I think when they were coming in to land, I believe, they just went completely quiet and yeah, were never heard from again. So an interesting premise. Terrible green screen effects. So I think it's the effects, no, it's when they actually get to, is it when they get to when they go on the plane and go back to prehistoric Earth? I think that's where the terrible effects are. Maybe also on the, I can't remember if like on the runway getting into Concorde, if that is when there's also some terrible effects, but just generally this episode doesn't look very good. It is definitely a cheap episode. I think that is one of the issues that most people have with this episode, that it is, it's an episode where clearly the budget, I mean, it is the last episode of the series, so yeah, of the season, season 19, I believe. And yeah, it kind of shows with some of the green screen effects. The time contour has taken everyone to prehistoric times. So the Doctor and Tegan and Nyssa and a bunch of other people get on another one of these Concorde flights to see what happens, and they go into this time contour, and then they get taken back to prehistoric times. That is how the Doctor, because the Doctor wants to figure out where has this flight gone. We'll do it exactly the same as the last flight, and yeah, sure enough, they end up going through this time contour and ending up in prehistoric Earth. So now the Doctor's got to figure out what's going on here, who's doing this, and what can I do about it. Khalid is taking people and hypnotizing them. Now, when I first saw Khalid, I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan. Let's just say that the I guess Asian influence into the character probably you wouldn't get away with today. It is very, yeah, I think very sensitive for nowadays. You would not get away with a character like this. But he just also was. I just found really annoying how he was doing that whole shamum 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 shamum, whatever the hell he was saying. He just would randomly pop up in scenes, just randomly doing that for whatever reason. He'd literally just, the scene would cut and he'd be on the screen going shamum shamum shamum, and then, you know, we'd cut off to do something else. It was very weird, and he was taking people and seemingly hypnotizing them, which should have been a kind of a bit of a hint as to who this character actually was. Tegan and Nyssa imagine Adric the Melker and a Pteroleptal. So there's something going on here in this prehistoric Earth where, you know, something's getting into people's heads and making them see things. You know, there's obviously people being hypnotized, and other people seem to be seeing stuff that's not real. So Tegan and Nyssa, they both see Adric, and then I think it's Nyssa sees the Melker, because of course that was you know, in her first story, The Keeper of Traken, the Melker was the big bad, turned out to be the Master. And then Tegan also sees a Pteroleptal, which, of course, you know, in London in the episode The Visitation. So I liked that scene. You know, it was nice to see these kind of villains, and also, of course, Adric return very briefly, but in kind of a dream sort of sequence. Khalid is the Master. So, yep, it's revealed that Khalid is actually the Master, which, to be honest, makes it even worse. The fact that he was doing this horrible sort of Asian, weird, just kind of culturally insensitive thing. The fact that it was the Master that whole time. I mean, of course, the Master, great with disguises. And the hypnotizing thing as well, that points straight back to the Master too. But I will be honest, when it was revealed that it was the Master, because I didn't actually know going into this episode that was the case, it did make the whole thing of, what Khalid was a little bit more iffy, let's say. The Zerafin came to Earth after their planet was destroyed, but the Master took their power. So yeah, we have these creatures called the Zerafin, but the Masters destroyed them and took all their powers because their planet was destroyed. They came to Earth in prehistoric times, but then the Master has destroyed them and taken all their power. So once again, the Master just genocide. The Master doing genocide as he always does. The Doctor makes a deal with the Master to release the people, get his TARDIS parts back, and give him the temporal limiter. So the Master needs a temporal limiter. I think it's to fix his TARDIS or to do something. I can't 100% remember. I should have recorded this closer to when I actually watched the episode. But he basically makes a deal with the Master. I thought it was a little bit silly of the Master because, it kind of ends up being a trick. The temporal limiter that he gives the Master is a faulty one, and he can only go, I can't remember exactly, either he can only go to a certain place or he gets I can't remember, something happens to the Master. I haven't actually written it down, but basically the Doctor kind of tricked the Master into, with giving him that temporal limiter. But the fact that the Master just goes yep, no worries, I'll go ahead with you on this deal. Is he not suspicious at all that the Doctor would do something to thwart his plans? The Doctor just giving him what he wants. I don't know, I think the Master's a bit gullible in that, I think. Finally, Tegan got left behind. So the episode ends with the Doctor and Nyssa flying off in the TARDIS, but they've left Tegan behind. I find it quite silly, quite weird that the Doctor's just up and left without Tegan. How does he not realise she's not there? What? You've just lost one companion in Adric. the previous episode, and you've now just left Tegan behind in the TARDIS? How does that even happen? I do not know. Yeah, the episode literally ends with her going, "I'm stuck on Earth. What am I stuck here forever?" And it's like, is the Doctor going to come back for her? Is that her time on the show done? Of course, now we know it is not her time on the show done. She does come back. But yeah, it's definitely an end to the episode that I didn't see coming. So that is Time Flight. A very strange episode, I will be honest. Yeah, I agree that it is a weird one. It's not great. A rating out of 10 for Time Flight, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I mean, it's not the worst episode I've ever seen. It is one of the weaker ones, though. I think, yeah, the cultural insensitiveness of Khalid, the Master, I do not like. Just generally, the plot is a bit boring of just, you know, a plane that's gone back to prehistoric Earth, and it's just another one of the Master's plans. Yeah, it's just not a particularly interesting episode. Also, the budget clearly not there for this episode. So, yeah, a 4 out of 10 for Time Flight. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.